A very good morning and welcome to Smart Men's Business for this new week. I'm Andrew Barigi, and definitely I would love to take this opportunity to welcome you from that weekend. Well, how has it been? Well, mine has been a little bit just normal, just fine. I don't know about you. But of course, we know despite the celebrations that have been happening all here and there, I understand there are some people that probably could have not had the best of it. Probably you could have gotten some sorts of difficulties, some sorts of inconveniences. Probably you even received the worst news of your time, or probably I get to understand what really that means, and we are with you in that, both in terms of prayer and emotional kind of support. But of course, congratulations to those that were able to witness some sorts of victory in quite a lot of aspects of life. Yeah, of course, despite the fact that, that's how this world is like. Some people will be celebrating, while some other people will be actually mourning over something. It doesn't have really to be a death matter, but it could be something that didn't really go right. It all comes back to the mourning perspective. But well, I understand despite the fact that the fun needed to be had, we had to also sit down and reflect as business people on how the previous week was, and of course putting it all together and try to anticipate what the coming week is going to be like. That's the most important aspect of all that. But despite all those things to happen, well, you need to think back on how best you're going to look through the coming week and enhance profitability. Actually, I always put up this challenge, most especially to the majority of the business community, regardless of what business you really put out there. Always challenge yourself. Be your own competition. Don't really look into what others have done throughout the week. Look at you, what you've achieved throughout the week, and how best can you beat that very record. And that will be quite a very starting point for you to actually reach levels that you may not even imagine. And yes, I believe with that mindset, definitely, well, you won't be, no one will actually be in position to stop you. But despite the fact, we have quite a lot of interesting conversations that are coming up on the show this Monday. This is Smart Men's Business, your daily kickstarter, of course, for this morning, and also above all for the fresh week. And today is the 24th, remember? This month is almost actually done. July, August, before you know it, we shall be wrapping up the entire year, and that's how things are really going to be like. But of course, despite the fact, all these discussions that are coming up on the show, remember, it's a fresh week, and talking about investment, these conversations are powered by Zabu, a platform from All Tax, which just made your trading experience much more easy and friendly. Remember, it's quite another fresh week, so the markets are back today, are going to be back now. Zabu enables you to buy bonds and securities for a fee of just 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Now, for you to be a part of this, it's quite very simple. You just dial *292#, which is the USSD code, which will avail with those number of options where you will be able to buy this bond and securities. Remember, on top of *292#, you have to register with your national identification number so that you can actually proceed efficiently with that procedure at large. So you can really see buying bonds and securities is the new normal for the 21st century. Zabu made this a reality. Now the markets will be opening at 8:15 up to 3:15 from today up to Friday. Zabu says, my money, my future, and All Tax East Africa tells you, do something new for yourself this year 2023. And of course, despite the fact that it's almost wrapping up, of course, it's never too late for you to come in there and try to see how best you can catch up and cover up for the remaining few months. And I believe life can't really fail to work out like how it ought to work out at that particular time. Well, now heading straight into our kickoff discussion here in the morning call, there is some reports that came out, I think it was around Friday, and it was all in matters of the Bank of Uganda phasing out the 1,000 shilling note. Something, of course, if you're to sum up the entire report, was largely due to the expenses when it comes to printing this, and also the aspect that the note itself is not durable, so that means they have to keep on printing over and over. Now, Bank of Uganda proposes to phase out 1,000 paper notes. You know, the 1,000 shillings paper note. Now, of course, in a later intent published, that is in the June International Monetary Fund fourth review for Uganda, Finance Minister, that is Matieka Saija, and Bank of Uganda Executive Director, that is Director Research Adam Mugume, who signed on behalf of government, noted that printing costs, that is of the banknotes, had continued to escalate, thus necessitating that as a market study to see which ones could be replaced, of course, with the coins. You know, taking a look at that. Now, given the high currency printing costs, he said that they have conducted a market study to compare the printing costs and a cost-benefit analysis of replacing low denomination banknotes with coins. Now, of course, the later signed by Mr. Kasaija and Dr. Mugume on behalf of Deputy Bank of Uganda, that is a Michael Ego reads in part, you know, in regards to that. Now, Dr. Mugume told, of course, the media that Bank of Uganda would start phasing out the 1,000 shilling note before looking at others. Now, of course, in a statement here, he said that the entire 1,000 Uganda shillings will be gradually withdrawn. Of course, it's not going to be done. Of course, once in a while, it's going to be slowly by slowly. Like I remember way back in, was it 2010, 2011? It must have been 2010 when we had you know, the phasing out of the notes, of the old notes, and we had the current notes that we're using lately. You know, it was some kind of a gradual process. Now, the notes are heavily used in transactions and therefore are soiled heavily, which renders them that is unusable or reduces lifespan. Now, of course, you see that they have to reprint them frequently, yet the cost of printing relative to value, it's quite high. You know, that is the cost of printing this 1,000 notes, it's quite really high. Now, you see, noting a procurement process that is for the same had already been put in place. But however, Dr. Mugume did not provide details of when that is the central bank expects to wholly phase out that is the 1,000 shilling note, according to a report here, to phase out the 1,000 shilling paper note, and which other notes have been considered for replacement, as indicated that is in the June 6th letter to Miss Kristalina Georgievina, the IMF Managing Director. Now, of course, in 2012, Bank of Uganda issued the 1,000 coin as part of events to commemorate, that is the 50 years independence, you know, if you remember, the time when it was out. Now, the central bank has previously wholly replaced other small currency denominations, that is ranging from 1 shilling, that is to 500 shillings with coins, citing durability and, of course, easy handling. Now, the letter of intent to IMF as well as cities as well cites the increasing cost of printing money as the motive for replacement of paper notes, that is with coins. Even as Dr. Of course, told the press, the changes were not about saving money. Now, in the 2021-2022, that is annual report, Bank of Uganda indicated that the cost of issuing currency, that is among which included printing circulation, had gone up increasingly, that is by 24.4 billion, or that's about 6.5% in the period. For instance, the report noted currency-related costs had increased, that is from 147.5 billion during 2020 and 2021 financial year due to a rise in demand, that is for cash following the reopening, that is of the economy. Now, of course, the move to replace currency notes with coins is among a raft of measures that is under the Memorandum of Economic and Financial Policies, in which government has reassured reassured development partners such as the International Monetary Fund of cost-effective management and reform to deliver sustainable, that is a fiscal consolidation in that matter. So you can see that is happening in that way. But of course, let's wait and see after that cost-benefit analysis is actually carried out. It will really give us a clear picture of what decision is going to be made. But of course, when you talk about coins might be a little more expensive, but at least when you look at the durability, it's not like you have to be making out more coins of that particular aspect. So probably coins would be a good option in terms of durability. But of course, I know how inconveniencing it is. Majority of the people actually are not friendly with coins, so many cases, the fact that they can easily be misplaced, and so many other related aspects. I don't know what you really think for the Bank of Uganda should be doing, but of course, I know anytime soon we shall be getting a report still back. As we're introducing this report, there was some aspect of conducting a cost-benefit analysis of replacing low-denomination banknotes with coins. And of course, the latest signed, and that is by Mr. Kasaija and Dr. Mukume on behalf of that. Well, it's 11 minutes past 7, and that is it for our morning call. Well, right about now, let's switch over and take a look at what's making headlines. That is into the praise. Well, I have 3 notes with me here, 3 bulletins, can I call them that? Newspapers. I have the East African, I have the Daily Monitor, and of course the New Vision. Now, rushing in through real quick here, taking a look at the top pages here, I can see mobile money. Of course, about 129 million Ugandan shillings stolen and 2 people shot in just a space of 2 days. So you can really see how saddening that is. And of course, verification for pensioners starts, and over 2,000 risk being scrapped off the payroll. Well, I believe people are not really excited in terms of that. Who's going to be scrapped off? I mean, that's quite the biggest point in here. Who's going to be scrapped off? And who's going to survive this? Now, government, of course, a combatants, of course, families. There is here. That is the picture on the top page. Now, of course, you see that Muslim community pays Chanjo tribute. Very upset for the former member of parliament who passed on over the weekend. Now, of course, still getting back to the Daily Monitor, we can see UETCL suspends 1 billion shillings. Spends 1 billion shillings to hire 37 new staff. So you can get your copy and find out more of what is really happening. Now, of course, the expenditure, which constitutes a significant portion of the public entity's budget, has been called into question. Now, of course, because its internal human resources directorate could have conducted the recruitment at no extra charge or a minimal cost. Get yourself a copy and find out what really that entails. Now, of course, getting to the East African, taking a look at what's happening here. Of course, Ruto between IMF and that is the rioters, as Kenyan leader is implementing Bretton Woods measures to access loans while struggling to quell demos that is over them. Now, of course, I can see Kagame fights clanism and known for fostering national unity. That is the RPF has moved to deal with influential members who coronated, and that is a clan chief, Then on the East African, I can see President Museveni looks to West Africa, that is for milk market. Now, of course, with Kenya blocking dairy exports by Kenyatta Farm and Algeria deal in limbo, Uganda leader now was Senegal as prices drop. Of course, talking about 73 pieces. Of course, the farmers cry foul as a result of that. Anyway, now heading deeper in here into the East African. Of course, we see funding gaps and missed targets still plunge. That is the African Union. Of course, the continental body is struggling to implement its 2063 development agendas, development plan, of course, due to lack of sufficient funds. So that is quite absurd. And I believe the faster we think about the African integrated market, the easier it's going to be easy for us to actually be in position, because this really shows you that the African Union is still at the mercy of other foreign agencies like the IMF, the World Bank, and the United Nations, in terms of support, and so many other Western donors. So that is not quite something good. And funding gaps and missed targets still plague the African Union. All right. Of course, Uganda's dairy sector counting losses as Kenya blocks exports. So the dairy sector in Uganda as of late, well, somebody may say it's not profitable, but of course, I understand the local market can actually consume some of these products, but what capacity can they consume vis-a-vis what you've actually produced out there as a producer? So Uganda's dairy sector is counting losses as of late, so you better be wise as you're making the right investment decisions. Or doesn't mean you shouldn't invest at all. There must be a way you can, but of course you'll find out further when you get yourself a copy of the East African Monday. All right. Okay. Still further as I proceed, of course, taking a look at what's happening. Here, of course, Museveni's glee as opposition FDC stalwarts repeat apart. Of course, this has been all over. That is the past week regarding for FDC. Now, Ruto seeks balance between IMF's heavy demands and those of rioting citizens. Yes, of course, Kenya has demonstrated its commitment to International Monetary Fund guidelines, that is by pursuing fiscal consolidation and debt sustainability measures in exchange for budgetary support. Yeah, so that is what is happening. Yes, budgetary support, the riots happening in there, but of course you can find further details when you handle yourself a copy of the East African. Okay, now Ruto bullish stance makes political settlement hard. Well, Kenya making it here all the way. Of course, everywhere I can see they're talking about the Kenyan crisis. I can see here Kenyan crisis, pull back. Oh, there will be no country to fight over. There's, of course, some of the opinion in the opinion section of the East African. Every person, the biggest concern here is the Kenyan crisis. So you can really see how serious that is. Now, there is something to really also check out here about, it's in the Outlook section. It says, whether aborted Ukraine grain deal leave East Africa hungry. Now, whether aborted Ukraine grain deal spell doom to the East African food basket. Of course, hunger, which is likely to hit East Africa. Of course, you find out further details of that when you grab yourself that copy, and definitely you'll proceed efficiently. Now, of course, when I get back to the vision brief, of course, President Museveni calls for unity, that is to build a modern Uganda, and the government acquires technology for national ID renewal. What is this technology going to be like? Of course, you gotta get yourself a copy of the new vision to find out. Okay, 3 mobile money agents attacked, 2 shot dead, and over 129 million Ugandan shillings stolen. Quite absurd, with what is happening. I understand the economic situation is not the best, but why kill somebody, really? Why kill somebody for money? Okay, take the money, but spare their life. But either way, none of them is good. Whether you take the money and you don't kill them, still, it's not right to kill. To steal at the end of the day. But this is quite very absurd. And let us see how this goes on. Now, government starts verification of pensioners. Of course, we saw something in line with some might be scrapped off the government payroll. But anyway, let's wait and see how that really comes out to show up. And now, of course, in the Iron Sheet saga, DPP commends CID over the probe. You'll find out more details when you get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor. Okay. Okay, as we continue, I can see in Nakanyonyi, poison students, and of course the school is battling with medical bills. School is really over 200 students fell sick following the suspected poisoning in that school. Yes, school is battling with medical bills. Well, that might have been that must have been a very heavy one. Okay. Now, the First Lady hails Belgium-funded education project. As we can see here, what is this really project about? Now, the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Mrs. Janet Museveni, has hailed the Belgium-funded multi-billion shilling, that is the National Teachers College project across the country, saying the completion of the rehabilitation works marks the end of the noble mission. So you find out that when you grab yourself for the New Vision copy. Now, somebody here says that Uganda's industrial growth faster than projected. Does that really make sense to you when you break that out? Now, David Bahati, the Minister of State for Industry, has held that is the rate of growth of the country's industrial sector, saying it has been faster than projected. I mean, talking about the industrialization of the country, Uganda. Okay. Now, climate change dominates Mandela lecture. You find out that still climate change talks, and there is this aspect of climate financing. It's quite a very wide aspect in here that once given time to explore, there are lots of angles that can be actually derived as a result of that. Okay, now I can see Otafire here saying that government fighting crime on the northern bypass. So you can really take a look at that. What other steps are being taken? Okay. I can see Chibambe launches, this is in community news, Chibambe launches 2 billion Ugandan shillings drive to secure school. Yeah, school in that area. And then have to be, raising 2 billion for the good, for the good of the community. That's quite a very positive aspect in there. As we still see Mitiana endorses Museveni, that is for the 2026 polls. Okay. That is now let me wind this up as I head to the Daily Monitor brief as we see what is really happening, what's making headlines in there. We had seen on the top page to see what is happening. Okay, of course, church warns families against DNA tests. You find out the reason why is the church warning the families against the DNA tests. Could be something that is quite really watching out here. Now, the Uganda Electricity Transmission Company, of course, pledges 1 billion to hire 37 new staff. It's something which we believe wasn't really the best. Some people believe so. All right, that is it for our praise. And now let's switch cross briefly and take a look at what's happening. That is in the traffic. Of course, it's 23 minutes past 7. Well, the images that you observe in there are coming in from, that is the Ginger Road. Can see the access road. The access road, of course, linking quite a number of places. 6th Street, 8th Street, and the 7th Street. And yeah, it's quite heavily congested. It's a demand, definitely, that is anticipated. So for the people that are coming in those areas, for example, if you're coming in from Chibuli and you probably plan to, maybe delayed a little bit, but surprisingly, it's not really as congested as it ought. Anyway, just because you see, what really determines the heavy congestion of a place is when the vehicles have been set free to move actually, and in the shortest time possible that route is empty, then we can say it's actually a bit of a stable jam, which is it's non-static, it's in motion. There is static jam and there is motion jam. That jam that is actually in motion, so it seems to be a different case for that area. Now, of course, we switch our eyes to the Yusuf Lule route. Yes, it's okay. It's very fine, and people that are likely to connect to it, probably you're coming in from Lago, you're coming in from Wandaga, and you're coming towards town, or you're heading, or you're connecting to areas like Nakawa. This is okay. You can actually come to the Nile Avenue via the Garden City, and you link up to the Ginger Road traffic lights junction, where Kampala Road joins Ginger Road, and yeah, you'll be in position to reach in time. Of course, some that are coming in from the city center are not going to be waiting to be held by the Ginger Road traffic lights. Definitely, they find out some other alternatives by coming towards this very side as you're observing. Still, via Nile Avenue, they link to Garden City, and then they're in position to actually proceed to where they ought to proceed and the time they ought to get there. And before you know it, you'll be in on time. Now, the huge congestion there, Port Bell Road, of course, that one harbors vehicles that are coming in from two different areas. There is those areas along Ginger Road, that is Chireka, Nakawa, Banda, Boyogere, and also those areas that are on Port Bell Road as you're linking all the way, that is Chitin, Talelo, Zira, Bugolobi, and so many. So you can really see how those two come in collusion, and now that's why you see that congestion. So if you're coming in from Tinder and you probably had plans to pass via Port Bell Road to reach town, well, you might be delayed a little bit. It's 27 minutes past 7, and that is it for our traffic updates this morning. Now, of course, before we get into the break, don't forget the Markets on the Zab platform, which are back. It's a new week, and they'll be opening any time from now. Starting in 2 hashes, the USSD code, which will avail you with those options where you'll be in position to buy bonds and securities for a fee of just 15. At 8:15 a.m. running all the way to 3:15 p.m. West African time, and this is running up to Friday. And remember, it's a fresh week. This week still no public holiday, so we have it all the way. The markets are back. Buying securities and bonds is the new normal for the 21st century. This is part of anyone's life for you to make sure that you can actually enhance, experience that aspect of financial freedom. And of course, you start investing slowly by slowly, and before you know it, at the end of it all, you're multiplying your income. Zabo says, "My money, my future," and Older to South Africa tells you, do something new for yourself. Remember, it's the year 2023. And now let's get into the break. Of course, when we return, we shall be reviewing what's happening on to the East African community, and at the same time, away from East Africa, that is the international business news. Stick around.